What's going on, everybody? It is your boy, Joel Cupcake. I am here again with another episode of Joel Cupcake Unedited Live. I got the headset on. You see the name in the bottom corner over here. Oh, well, here, whatever. So you know what that means. Got a guest today. Before we kick that off, a couple updates. First and foremost, the show is only going to be once a week now. I'm only going to do a new episode every Tuesday. Between trying to correlate scheduling with my guests, I got a new work from home job. I'm also doing some streaming. Penup's going to be hosting a lot more live events soon, which will also be, I'll be streaming and hosting. I'm partaking in and working and whatnot. It's just going to be way easier for me to only facilitate one episode a week. So there's that. That's what it is. Find me on Twitch. Most of my episodes are going to be live on there now as well. That link is just twitch.tv/Joel Cupcake. Hit me up there. Please keep subscribing to the YouTube page if you haven't already. I've been getting more and more hits on the podcasts. I noticed that seems to be the preferred medium. So thank you for that, everybody. I appreciate it. So thanks for tuning in. Today, we are going to do a little bit more of an educational episode, talk about some more music industry stuff. Our last couple episodes, we've really strayed away from that. I have like one little tiny segment or like a question on it. I have a guest today who I do a lot of work with. He is a really good friend of mine. So I'm excited to have him on. And I think hopefully it'll be informative for a lot of you folks from like smaller bands or like bands aren't sure what's going on right now in the industry with like COVID and all that nonsense. So without further ado, here is my good friend, Julian.
Hey, Joel. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Julian. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm great, dude. I am great. Thanks for joining me today, dude. I appreciate it.
Dude, thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Of course, dude. I mean, I feel like we talk all the time anyways, so.
We do.
It's just going to be.
It's just constant.
Yeah, it's just going to be another one of that. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Okay. Well, I had a notification in the background. Hope that didn't pop up here. My bad.
I didn't see anything, so I think you're good.
You didn't hear it? Okay.
I did not.
Tight. Thank you. Let me close this window anyways, just in case. All right, Julian, thanks for joining me today. So everybody, Julian plays in an awesome band called Demon and Me. Their name is scrolling across the bottom of the screen on the little ticker thing. Be sure to check them out. They were one of the bands on our first live stream event we did a few weeks ago that Penup hosted, where we raised some money for some charities. Just kind of wanted to do a cool thing with like a mixed genre set to, support our local scene and like the Northern California music scene and give people some sort of normalcy. You know what I mean? So Julian, thanks again for having you and the boys play that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. I mean, we had a great time and it was our first show since all this started. So yeah,
seriously. I know what you mean, man.
Yeah. And much love to all those bands. I mean, we've played with Sea in the Sky before and they're great to play with. We've played with It Never before, I believe, as well. And I've seen Wolfgang a handful of times. So it's all bands that we've seen or played with at some different point. So it was great just to be together and, play with friends.
Yeah. And I loved also like, we really went back to the roots of like the mixed genre. You know what I mean?
We did. Like, yeah. I think there's a lot more needed nowadays, especially of that too.
Yeah, well, and a big theme I've had here on my show is like unity, peace, us being like united and getting through COVID and also the political and social problems in our country together. Yeah. United as a people. Skin color doesn't matter, race, religion, creed, beliefs, sexual orientation. None of that fucking matters. We're all fucking beings. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so like I feel like, music is powerful. Music is as far as things that have an effect on people, like music, politics, and religion are probably the three top things I would like to think. You know what I mean? Because celebrities and books and all that shit, it all falls into one of those three categories. You know what I mean?
It does. And it really is a very cohesive thing that I think people don't always put together. With musicians, people often, I hear them commenting or see them commenting, why is this band involved in politics? But at the same time, it's like, you need to have some sort of beliefs at the center of your band. Not that everyone has to agree with them, but you still need to stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah, because at some point in time, if you don't have beliefs, if you're like, okay, we're just three dudes making music to make money, like eventually that will show through.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, you might still have most of your mainstream support, but like the organic fans that will come back every single time and buy a shirt, not just because you're like the it band or the band they heard on the radio this month, like you won't have that because eventually it'll shine through and people will notice.
Well, real people love real bands. And at the end of the day, it's like, every single super fan you ever hear about, they're not talking just about, oh, I love this song. They're saying, I love how they connect with us. I love how they connect with our fan base. I love how I see this person as a person. I don't see them as just like some unattainable figure. And the most engaging bands have the most engagement. They engage the most. That's they get that return back just for doing their part. Yeah.
Well, so Julian, fucking motorcycles, man. Every time I want to do one of these goddamn episodes, dude. Sorry, everybody.
Just revving it up.
Yeah, dude. It's just like let me just fucking bullet train right by you real quick, dude. And fuck your day up, Joel. All right. Well, Julian, real quick before we get into deep, give me like let's do one of my regular episodes in like 5 minutes. Like, just give everybody like a 5-minute history of you. Like. Because you're in a band and you're also a booking agent, which is why we're going to have a more learning episode today. A more talk a little bit more like I haven't done anything where we actually talk about the music industry with a guest. Actually, I don't think period. You know what I mean? Like Nick and I talked about some stuff when he interviewed me and we like switched seats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I loved that episode. You know what I mean? So, but we haven't, everything's always been like, get to know my guests. And like, you and I see eye to eye, but like I love working with you because when I work with you, it's a lot like working with DeFonts where like we agree on a lot and we also don't agree on a lot, but we can have like constructive, healthy conversations about the shit we don't agree on. Like the bands need to do, the industry needs to do, artists can do to like improve their situations,
And that's the most important part about having a team is you want your team to be able to disagree, but in a constructive way. It's like, because as a band, you're individual members at the same time at the end of the day, and you're not always going to see eye to eye, but having a team that can also not necessarily see where you're coming from, but see the other side and help you kind of see both sides really makes a difference.
Yes.
I think that's been a lot of the positive parts of our relationship is we can both agree and disagree on a lot of stuff. And sometimes I feel like we're disagreeing with the band, but we say our thing and then, at the end of the day, it's still a discussion. We're not going to stop them from doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
But just so we give our feedback and so they know where we're coming from, I think is more positive than, people that stay silent about that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's also good because it's like sometimes it'll be like you and I agree and the band doesn't, or you and the band agree and I don't, and then we're all able to like come to a compromise, find a flow, find something that like works. Oh, God damn it, dude. I mean, it's a fire truck, so I can't be mad. It's not like it's the fucking.
You can't be. No, they're doing their job.
They're probably out there saving somebody's life. Or
dude, nobody ever said fuck the fire department.
That's true. That's true. You know what? Ironically, Julian, like, so I did all this research that like fell in my lap. We're gonna go way fucking off subject right now, but I don't care because it's my fucking show. Do you remember when like all those fires happened last year in like Malibu and like SoCal and all that shit? Yeah. So I remember this article popped up. And a bunch of people were like, yo, fuck the Kardashians, because Kim and Kanye basically had an on-call personal fire department that came and saved their block, like their neighborhood, like a private firefighters.
That's ridiculous.
And well, hold on. It is ridiculous as Americans.
Yeah.
We think that's ridiculous. But I did some research, like us and like kind of Canada are like the only places that have a true volunteer fire department, like London and Britain and all that stuff. The reason so much of British history has been lost over the years, and you always hear about all these fires that happen throughout history in Britain, is because the fire departments were always controlled by the insurance agencies and the people with money. So like it wasn't a public service like it is here in America. So we sit around and go, man, fuck the Wests and the Kardashians for having that ability. But like, at the end of the day, like they did save their whole neighborhood and a bunch of other, like granted, they're all rich people and I'm sure the house burning down is nothing to them, but that doesn't mean they don't still have memories and feelings and associations in those buildings, But so it was like crazy. Like I did all this research and I was like, wow, America, that's like one thing we are number one in is our fucking fire service because it's by the community for the community. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't like play favorites. Money has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? I'm sure it talks to some firefighters. Like I'm sure the government weighs on them for certain things here and there. I mean that happens in our fucked up political country, regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
well, it's funny actually you mentioned that because one of the first fire departments, I'm trying to remember the name of the man, but I can't remember it right now, was started by a Roman entrepreneur. And what he would do is he wouldn't put out any fires. What he would do is he would go up to the buildings that were on fire and the buildings around them and say, if you sell the land to me, I'll put out the fire. And he'd only put it out once he owned the land.
that's funny.
That's how he basically ended up owning most of Rome. I can't remember his name right now. I wish I did, but if you look it up, it's a great story about how, you see these people that set up their own personal, fire departments to save, what they want to save.
Yeah.
But in America, we're blessed with, a fire department that actually is volunteer run and can actually, help people.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy just seeing how far back it goes. And you see that it started out as just this almost money-making scheme.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. But yeah, that's way back. That's like ancient Roman Empire times. So we've made a long haul since then. Yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Steer the
segue back.
Course. Fucking, mass to sales, whatever the fuck that them pirates say. 5 minutes about you. Go. Hit it.
All right. So I think I first got my start in music probably about in middle school. Joined a band, we sucked. Awful band. I could barely play at the time. I thought I was going to play drums. I got a drum set from my uncle. Couldn't play drums. So my dad had a bass laying around, so I ended up picking that up, and that I kind of stuck because once you have the bass gear, there's so many bands that need a bass player that are actually, already doing something, so it's easy to just join and kind of keep moving along, which was the nice part. I think at one point I played bass in like 3 bands, and it was just way too much, and now it's just down to the one. But
that sounds about right.
Have you
ever met Robert Scobie? He plays drums for Moria and Give You Nothing.
Okay.
He was like, there was like a joke for a while. He was literally in like 7 bands.
It happens.
Because like Evan and Tommy were the 2 other bigger drummers in our area. Like they were in like No Truce, Taste the Blood, some of those bands.
Yeah.
And like they both, between their jobs and like they had bad lower backs, they were always hurting themselves because they did like construction and shit. So like there was like a point in time where Scobie was this dude like back at home, like one of my favorite fucking people growing up. And like he literally was like, I think he drummed for legit like 7 bands at one point in time. Because like there's never drummers and there's never bass players. It just is what it is.
Exactly. That's the nice part about being about playing bass is I was always, able to find another band when something didn't work out. And that's a nice part. But the thing I kind of learned through that almost was like, you need to find what people need at the same time, and you need to find what's not there. So it's like, for me, it's like I was playing bass and that was awesome. And then I went to high school and then, I was into sports and all that other kind of stuff. But I actually had a big kind of change in my life at one point when I was 15. I had neck surgery and I was home from December of the school year up until the next school year. So I was home, had a lot of time to think, had a lot of time to kind of just like mess around and do whatever. But I ended up practicing a lot and just really realizing that, music is kind of what I wanted to be a part of. There was nothing else that really made me as happy as, being a part of music. So from then it was like, okay, let's do music. Let's find our way to do this. So
I can respect that. Respect that.
So what I did is I finished high school and then I went to a junior college by me and I was like, I have no idea really want to do. I want to do music. So I took a bunch of music classes and I got an associate's actually in music business from American River College, which is great program. But it didn't really teach me. It taught me a bit and it gave me a good start, but it didn't really teach me what I needed to do to take the next step to actually be a part of the industry.
Yeah.
So I was kind of looking and I was always looking, in town, there was Artery that was doing a lot of stuff. But actually, I didn't get into artery until the last couple of years. So what happened was I ended up finding a way into the music industry through Live Nation. They were doing an internship for marketing. So I applied and I did a marketing internship. And then that turned into they were hiring for other jobs. So then I ended up taking a job with them. And then I was working at another job at the time too, but I quit that. Started doing music stuff full time. I found other jobs in the music industry. People connected me in other ways. So I went from just working as an intern to working at, Ace of Spades as like a stagehand at first, and then as a runner. And then as a runner, I got to know a lot more about production and whatnot. But
Yeah.
also what's important about working at the venue is I got to see it from more sides. And I think I wish more artists would actually go apply at these venues. And that way you can see like, okay, I understand why they're trying to get me to fucking take my drums down off stage. Like I can see why they're trying to rush me. I get it more. So it's like seeing it from that side, I got to meet a lot of bands. I was working directly with the bands and their teams, and I'm starting to see, you know, all these different positions that I enjoy. And it really just kind of set me in the path of, okay, going to keep pushing on with music. And then as I was looking, Artery actually put out for assistants, and they got some crazy amount of they got like 500 plus, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was lucky because I worked with some people I worked with Ace of Spades, knew, you know, a lot of the people at Artery. So what happened was he asked, you know, he saw that I worked at Ace of Spades. Trevor saw that I worked at Ace of Spades, and he's like, he asked some people he knew, he's like, what do you think of this kid? And they were like, oh, great to work with, hard worker. So Trevor brought me in for an interview. I showed up like an idiot in a suit and tie for an interview with Trevor, and he's in there wearing gym shorts and I think a football, just sweatshirt. Hilarious. Yeah. And I'm there in my suit and tie, 20 years old.
Hey, you know what, dude?
Or 22.
But that's what you got to do, though, dude.
You have to put out a good first impression. People underestimate that. But so I put out my good first impression, and then from there, it's like I was working for Seth and for Tanner as an assistant, and then from there I started kind of getting the system. Yeah.
I said I'm
sorry. Yeah, I mean,
Seth is actually my next guest on the show.
Oh,
ironically.
Well, I'm saying hi to Seth in advance then.
Yeah, I will let him know you said that. Don't even trip.
I loved working with Seth and with Tanner. It was totally different because it's like with Seth and Tanner, it's like I had Seth who was working. Seth actually, booked Demon and me in the beginning, and you were part of that too, and you totally saw how that worked out. I mean, it's like it was a great first start for us, and it was great for me to see how people are booking and people are doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when I actually worked under Seth, I got to understand a lot more about it. And then when I worked under Tanner, I got to understand a lot more of other stuff too, because both of them kind of worked in these totally different genres. At first, Tanner was working pretty similar to what Seth was doing. He was doing a lot of, heavier metal stuff, and so was Seth. But then as time went on, it ended up being, okay, Tanner's now doing pop stuff and R&B, and he's doing a ton of different stuff now, which has been great because it's gotten me to really see, okay, you can book this diverse array of clients and still have something you're happy with. And I've always been someone that's liked a lot of different genres of music. So for me, it's been nice to be able to work with so many different bands because I don't feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot when I'm like, okay, I'm going to submit this band for this tour. I don't have 30 bands to submit for the same goddamn tour. And I think that ends up happening a lot. Yeah. So I'm happy to kind of put the time in to focus on my individual acts at this point and really just drive it home for them. I'm submitting them for these different tours.
That's tight. And going back to something you said, I didn't want to cut you off again.
Yeah, no worries.
You know what I mean? So but when you said you wish more band dudes would work at a venue so you can kind of get it. Oh man, dude, you fucking hit the nail on the head with that.
Dude, it's not just venues. It's there's so many things they could do to really just get more about it. And it's
Well, I guess I'll be a little selfish and I'll probably get a little heat for saying some of this. I don't really fucking care. But I was talking with Nick Bain from the Hard Times shows the other day.
Yeah.
And him and I were talking and we were joking around about how there is no as a promoter you can reach out to music cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And okay, the Grammys will give you $1,000 maybe if you're one of the lucky promoters gets approved. I didn't even apply for it because at the time I still had a day job and I didn't need it. I should have done it. I had the link before I really got around, a couple people, DeFonts and a few other people knew about it. So they told me about it. I never did it because I was like, you know what? They don't have endless money and there's a lot more people that are going to be more boned than me because at the time, like I said, I still had a day job. I have pretty supportive parents. They understand that what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm fortunate where if times get tough, it's not like I'm going to get evicted. I'm not going to have to move out of anywhere. So I didn't apply for it. But besides that, I know people that are legitimate LLC business promoters that have gotten fucking nothing.
Exactly.
They've applied for PPE. They've applied for the being an independent contractor loans, all of it, and they've gotten absolutely nothing because the government does not give a fuck. When I was talking to Nick the other day, I was like, you know what sucks, man? Like if like, for example, like For the Nomads is going on for crew workers. I think that's amazing.
He's done such a great job with that.
Frank is killing it with that. He was a guest on the show a couple episodes. Well, it was a while ago, but I've had him on the show. They've raised over $100,000 now. They are like absolutely fucking killing it.
Yeah,
they're on their third round of silent auctions. They're also donating money to like the NAACP, the NCLU. He is just fucking. I'm so proud of him, man. Yeah. Like I'm lucky to call him a friend. But even he was saying like, I wish I could help promoters. I wish I could help the other people. He's like, but I have my mission and here it is. And when I was talking to Nick, I was like, it's funny because if I started or anybody started to like, hey, here's a program or a fund or whatever, and it helps promoters, it would just be everybody talking shit.
Dude, exactly. I mean? At the end of the day, most band members don't understand the place of promoters nowadays. And
it's not even band members. It's like the people that go to shows. Like I can't tell you how many times over my career I've been like, oh, well, like, why do I have to listen to your rules at the show? Like I'll just go through my own show. It's like, fine, then fucking do it, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's not what people think. And that's the thing. It's like they think all the promoter did was like, okay, they found the bands for the package and then they post about it on Facebook once. That's what they see. And to them, that's the end of the day. Yeah. But there's so much more that goes into being a promoter that people don't think about. And I know so many people promoters right now that are hurting because there's nothing for them. There's no benefits. There's no, I mean, some of them will have applied for unemployment through it, but it's like, it's still not easy. There's no real way to get it to be what you need it to be. And especially if you're,
well, and there's only one more payout. The 25th, I think it is the last one of July. And that's then that $600 bonus that we're all getting, or at least, well, only California and like New York get the 6th. But like that bonus from the CARES Act is gone.
Yeah.
So then like all of us are like double fucked. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like that's why I brought it up on other shows and other podcasts and like other things I've been on where it's like, I'm fortunate that I've sat at every side of the table. I tried being a booking agent. I tried running my own label. I've tour managed. I've been the merch guy. I've been the lighting guy. I've been the promoter, but I've also like, you know me and the guys that we go work at the Catalyst and stuff like that. Like we get hired out. So I literally feel like I've done and experienced like every little part of the puzzle. So I've sit at every side of the table. So like a lot of these younger bands that I work with, when they come to me for stuff, I'm like hitting them with like, okay, well, this is what I'm gonna tell you to do. And like, this is how it's going to look. This is how it can affect your band on both sides of the table. And they're like, this can have more than one ripple effect. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how do you know that? And it's like, I just feel bad because like people just don't think about it. You know what I mean?
They don't have that association of, okay, so let's say I as a band get to load in an hour late. Sucks, right? People are like, oh yeah, that sucks, whatever. But you got to think about it. If there's a sound guy there, he's been there for an hour. He had to get paid for that hour of being there. How many crew people are there that have been cleaning and making sure stuff's ready for you to be there? When I worked at, Ace of Spades, it was this 1,000-cap room where we'd have bands show up sometimes like 4, 5, 6 hours late, and they would come in like, whatever. And it's like, why did you set the load in that early if you were never going to show up that early?
Especially when they set it themselves. I mean, man, I've gotten so sick of it over the years. Like, I'm so thankful for the relationship we have with the Catalyst. In Santa Cruz, because like if it's like, hey, I need an early load in there, they'll just be like, dude, we don't open that early. And I'm like, just have the bartender open the doors. Like,
that's all.
And then Justin and all of my guys and Casey and everybody, like we'll show up and we'll just load the bands in. We'll get the gear staged on stage. So when the sound guy shows up, all he has to do is sound check everything. Yeah. And like, luckily I have that relationship, but so many outside promoters don't, where it's like, that should on paper cost me an extra $300 to $600 if I have to come in 2 hours before everyone else is scheduled. You know what I mean? So it's just not that simple. Like I'm very big on my bands, like being punctual. And it's like, dude, if you are going to be late, it's okay, but tell the fucking promoter, or at least tell the TM so the TM can tell the promoter.
Yeah. Communication is so key to this business, and people so often fail at that. And we all have times where it's okay, someone's, late to email me back, that happens. No one's going to, freak out over, but it's when there's a repeated issue of communication, then it becomes a much bigger issue, because it's like, if your band can't contact you or connect with you and tell you, hey, there's issues, then that usually ends up being instead of, what could have been a resolved issue, maybe now you no longer work with the band because they decided you weren't communicating enough. It's unfortunate, but that happens. And then there's venues, where there's bad communication, then someone shows up a couple hours early, someone shows up late.
Yeah.
All those things have an effect that people don't usually think about, which is unfortunate. And at the smaller level, there's not as big of an effect, so you don't see as much of the ripple that you're causing.
Yeah, exactly.
With each time you get to a slightly bigger room, the ripple gets a little bigger too.
Well, that, and then like, I think now more than ever, and I think you can attest to this, especially with me, because we all know I'm a hothead, like the promoters talk to each other.
They do.
So I have no problem being like, yo, good fucking luck dealing with those assholes tomorrow. Dude. Or,
and
you know what I mean? Because it's like, dude, even the promoters that like make money, like I know there's those few independent promoters, they don't own their own room, but they're still clearing $200,000 a year, and they're doing 40 shows a month to do that though. Like that's still, it's a job, but like promoters don't have job security. You know what I mean?
They don't.
Well, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. Nobody in the music industry has job security. I shouldn't just say promoters. That's fucking unfair. But like, there's a lot of like unappreciation for all this shit. You know what I mean? And like the thing is like now, like again, man, I hate tooting my own fucking horn on these episodes, but I end up keep doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're doing that live show you guys played, for example. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're going to be doing one a month at Fang with 4 bands total, and then we're going to be doing the other 3 Saturdays of the month, or 4 depending on what year it is. Yeah. Like, we're going to be doing 2 band sets at X Bar every Saturday night. Like, but that includes like 2 sound people, 2 to 3 video people, 2 to 3 security people helping loaders, and then the 2 people helping sanitize everything. And then me kind of like supervising or whatever fucking word you want to use. I'm sure my team would not use the word supervising, but that's fine. And it's like, we'll be doing that. And we're not going to get paid for this. And like, that's my thing is like, I've had a couple of people that hit me up that were like, yo, like, how did you make that happen? I put an episode out about this, and it's like my lowest viewed episode, which is absolutely mind boggling to me. I know it's just me and I don't have like a guest or anything, but like still like, it's like advice on how to do that yourself. And it's like, dude, like, just talk to people, make the connections, make the relationships. Like if I didn't have the relationship I have with Nick over at Fang, the show at Fang that you guys played would have happened. I mean, maybe it would have, but it wouldn't have been there. It could have been a different situation, and Nick and Brent did so much work themselves to make sure we could stream. We had the webcams. Well, we had multiple, and then the power went out and blew them out. So we ended up with only the one, but like, make the connections, do the work. Like this is supposed to be a selfless job. Like I've never once sat here and been like, I'm going to keep being a promoter because I fucking can get rich. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with my girlfriend. We have no illustriousness to our life. You know what I mean? Well, okay, I guess I do vacation a lot because you guys all grill me for that. But like that's different. You know what I mean? Well, it's not really different, but like I'm lucky and I have a timeshare.
I mean, it's not a life of luxury. That's what people think of a promoter, and they think, oh, they're walking with so much money, and it's like,
I've literally had people come over to like my house for barbecues, like not when I lived in this apartment, but other places, and they were like, "Oh, you don't live in like some like nice ass neighborhood or some like baller ass house?" I'm like, yeah. And that was before I started managing bands, Julian. So like, imagine that. Like, I'm like, no, like, dude, the music industry sucks, bro. You have to work hard for many years before it fucking matters, dude.
Yeah, you do. You really do. People don't understand the amount of a thankless job this is. And it's like, I make a point whenever I play a show to try and thank as many of the venue staff as I can. Like, if I thank the sound guy, just that, at least that guy is busting his ass to try and make sure you guys sound good. He's probably never heard your band before. He's probably never met any of you guys before. Yep. And if you're being a dick, why? The thing is, he's trying to do his job. He might be an asshole, but at the end of the day, he's still doing his best to try and make you sound good, and he's going to still try and work hard.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of dick sound guys out there in the world.
There totally are.
We all know that.
Most of them are just exhausted at this point, though. It's not that they came into this thinking, oh, I want to be a huge asshole to bands. We all get it at this point. Everyone's exhausted.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a nice kind of break but it's not that nice. But
Sorry. Let me interject. Sorry for the yawn, Julian. I'm not
no
what
worries.
you're saying. Everybody, I know the last couple episodes I've been like that dick that's like yawning on the episodes. The diet that Trina and I are doing is like no caffeine, no coffee, no nothing. So like it is like I feel great. My body feels good. I'm just like tired because I don't have any of like the fake shit I've been pumping into my fucking veins for like fucking 10 years. You know what I mean?
Dude, my girlfriend's the same way. Just Red Bulls every day.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Like, so I apologize. But yeah, dude. Okay. Enough about fuck promoters. Fuck me, dude. You know what I mean? The reason I asked you on the show today, Julian, is like, you and I've probably been having the most talks with like you and Dan, and then like probably like Sean about like what's going on, and then Milford, you know what I mean? Like probably like what's going on with touring, when can you get back to, I hate saying back to normal, like what's next. And so I'm like, instead of talking about that, like there's 1,000 podcasts covering coronavirus and what's next and what's going on. I wanted to kind of have you on like, I work with a lot of smaller bands. You work with a lot of smaller bands.
Yep.
I don't want to use the term baby band on this show. I fucking hate that. I hate that the industry does that.
That's fair.
If any of you big agents watch this, when you send me those emails that are like, submit, we can, like we're looking for openers. Don't send me a baby band. Well, you know what? Fuck you. All your bands got to where they are somehow.
And the worst part is they'll still put a baby band on, just not one of your baby bands.
Yeah, it's like. You let somebody else who fucking licked your butthole put their baby band on.
Exactly.
But because I don't do that, you don't put mine on.
Yeah.
So anyways, for like these smaller bands with like touring and like, for example, like getting noticed by a booking agent, like you or Tanner or I mean anybody over at like, I don't know how does Dynamic Talent. Oh, so for those of you, I cut Julian's story off a little bit and / we wandered because I wandered. Artery Global rebranded to Dynamic Talent International, right? International, right, Julian? Yes. Yep. Last year. So, or is that this year?
I think it was maybe the very beginning of this year, maybe the end of last year we were talking about
right it. Now, time is meaningless. Time is just a giant bottle of Corona flying through the sky now.
It was just April, like a week ago, I thought.
Dude, right?
The weeks fly by.
So. Yeah. Well, anyway, so Artery Global rebranded as Dynamic Talent International. So, like, what qualities do you guys look for, when you're getting, because I'm sure your submission email is just popping off. You know what I mean?
That's a great question. I talk to a lot of bands, and I have a lot of bands email me, and usually I try and at least respond and say, hey, either, maybe it sounds good, maybe it just wasn't my thing. But so I'm always looking too. It's like I'll spend a lot of time looking through Spotify daily mixes. I'll spend time looking through my release radar. Maybe I'll see a band that's really starting to pop off in that sound. Maybe I'll, just go to Spotify and look, okay, who are their related artists? Put on their radio, who am I going to see pop up? So there's a lot of, social media aspect that I'll see pop up, or sometimes I'll just go see some bands touring, and then all of a sudden I'm watching some openers and they're killer. So maybe that's okay. I'll talk to them and say, hey, how are you doing? This is my name. Nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. But my main thing is with touring nowadays, what I want bands that are showing me that they're willing to put in effort. And that is the number one thing I want is effort. Okay. If your band is putting in effort, whether it's, you don't have to necessarily be booking your own tours. I get that not every band's capable of doing that. Not everyone has the logistical vibe of that. That's fine. But
or their patience.
Exactly. And there's a lot of different things that go into it. And sometimes they just don't necessarily understand exactly their value, which happens a lot. Mm-hmm. But if a band
when you're proud of your work, I'm proud of what I do. I mean, how many times have I been like up your ass about something? Oh, and it's like the littlest thing, but it's because like I'm so passionate about the stuff especially, I mean, obviously I'm passionate about like representing the bands I represent, but especially on like the promoter ankle, I'm like, no, dude, like it needs to be done. Like then again, like I know I have a different outlook than most where I'm very selfless. I'm more selfless than most, but anyways, sorry, continue with the effort.
It's just effort is like, there's simple things like you're playing a local show. Mm-hmm. Have I seen any of you guys post about this show? Have I seen, I see the band page post about it once, but like, let's say I look through your personal profiles. If not one of you has posted other than, the band page, where's the effort here? Where are you promoting the show? Exactly. Maybe, but when was the last time I saw a band putting up flyers? it's been a long ass time since I've seen flyers, and that's okay. Not everyone feels so up to going to post up physical flyers everywhere.
Yeah.
But talk to your friends, put it on your stories, your Snapchat stories, your Instagram stories, whatever you're doing. Keep pushing that show, but at the same time, that's not the only way to push the show.
Yeah.
Let's say there's no locals, or let's say there's only 1 or 2 locals. If you're not putting an effort to find locals for your shows, or at least reach out and try and find people who know people.
Yeah.
Why? Like, especially when I'm taking on these younger acts. Let's say I take on a younger act. Let's say they're going to go play in. They say they tell me they want to play in Chicago. So let's say I try and go book them a show in Chicago. I could have a great promoter, but if it's the wrong day, sometimes they can't find the normal locals that they have.
Yeah.
And that happens every now and then. Maybe there's just too many shows in the same genre. Let's say I tell the band, okay, promoter's having a hard time finding locals. I don't have hours in my day to go search for locals in your specific genre, but I will try.
And you will try. You're one of the only agents I know that does that.
Yeah. But at the same time, bands should be doing that too. That's the thing that I think people miss out on. It's like a lot of these bands, if I tell them there's no locals, they'll just kind of say, darn, why can't the promoter find locals? It's like, dude, promoter's got so many shows.
Well, it's like, why can't you make a post on your page saying, like, hey, we're trying to play Chicago. We need an extra band or 2 to help. I mean, I used to do that all the time for like the bands, like before I was even a manager, like when I was like just DMing a few bands here or there. Like, I can't tell you how many times just like, or even being a merch guy, I would go save a show because I'd be like, yo, like I'm trying to roll through like with the band, the promoters needs a little bit of help promoting the show. Like we have no locals, like who wants to play with like Arsonist, for example. I told them, I'd be like, who wants to play with Arsonist in like 2 weeks? Everybody share my status or repost this. Or I forget how it worked on MySpace, but it was like everybody tag each other that could help with this.
Exactly. And it's just, finding a network or finding someone to help you find that show there. Like, why did you want to play the show in Chicago? Do you know people there? If you know people there, then ask them about locals. There's all these steps that go into it. It's like any small touring band should make an effort of A, trying to find locals, B, try to find people that want to go to this show. Whether it's if you get to a city early, what are you doing? Most of the time people are, kind of messing around, but it's like maybe just like, oh, the skate shop's like 5 minutes away from the venue. Drive to the skate shop, talk to the guy behind the counter, talk to a couple guys in there, say, hey, we're playing a show later. It's that easy. It's like, not that everyone's going to come out every time, but just showing that you're putting in effort goes a long way, because it's not just me that's looking. It's, managers, it's other bands that are looking. I've seen so many bands say, yeah, we took this band out because we saw them grinding. We saw them working hard. Every band is slowly paying attention to what you're doing, even if you don't always see it. The more and more they see your name.
Well, it's been a little oversaturated. So now is the time for smaller bands to work hard. And not everybody is noticing an industry. It's not going to be your ticket, but there's more of a, I'm going to go out here and say us, more of us going out and post and noticing like, hey, there's a, I know there's a band that we've talked, about is like, you don't book No Home. One of the bands on my roster, but you have no problem pitching them and putting them on anything you can because they fucking hustle. Yeah, you make zero money helping me out. Yeah, but the band is worth it.
I'd rather put a band that's working hard on a tour that I'm working on than it's like I see these other bands, maybe they have more experience, but just because that band's done that route, just because a band's done the same tour route 3 times doesn't mean they're bringing out kids. Yeah. And that's what people don't understand. They see, they've done this 3 times. If they're putting in no effort every time, they're not going to get that return.
Correct.
And that's what people misunderstand. It's like there's a difference between experience and effort.
Yeah, I agree.
You need both to succeed. But, you need to put in the effort so you can get the good experience. Because there's bad experiences too that people don't talk about. Going to play to 3 people a night isn't a good experience. You guys are probably going to walk away broke. No one's going to be happy. Because so many of these bands will just launch into, booking 6 weeks of a run. And it's like, dude, put in the effort around your hometown. Put in the effort around the towns around you. Like, let's say I live in Sacramento. So it's like, I should be focusing on, first thing is I start a new band, focus on my town. But also, there's so many towns within 2, 3, 4, 5 hour drives that I could go play within that night, it's like, if I have the day off, cool, I can go drive to one of those cities and play that show with my band.
Yeah.
But I also want to make sure that I'm putting in the effort to promote those shows as well. But there's simple ways you can do that too. And even if it's like you don't necessarily know the people, maybe do something like a show trade, something like that. Show that you're putting an effort to find ways to grow your audience.
Yeah.
So that kind of got a long way from, how we're looking.
No.
Effort.
It's all on track. It's all on point. It's all right.
It is. It's things you need to do. So effort is a big thing for me. If I don't see effort from that band, I don't see why I want to put an effort for you, because they also got to understand, when you're a young band, if I book you, a 3-4 week tour, that's not something that took me a day. That's something that probably took me, a couple weeks worth of work. And at the end of the day, if you're a young band, I'm getting maybe, couple $100 maybe, if you're a young baby band.
Yeah,
and that's
okay. It's like you're there to help these small bands grow.
Exactly. And
so the money might not be the point, but still, like, you don't want to just waste all that fucking time.
Exactly. Like, I'm putting in my effort because I think you guys can grow, and obviously I have interest and faith in you guys. But it's like, if you're not putting in the effort, why should I feel this need to put in this effort for so little money? It's like, people don't understand that, like, a lot of this effort for young bands isn't about the money to begin with. It's about, you believe that that's going to turn around at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You're making an investment of your time and energy into these bands, hoping that eventually it will be worth it.
Well, and that's why I wanted you on here, because I know you have that, like, you're able to explain that very proficiently. Yeah. And you don't sound like a douchebag. It is an investment. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that'll be like, well, I need the bands to work hard so I make my money. But it's like, no, it is an investment. Like, like, I know, like, one of the other reasons I love working with, like, you and Dan, I don't know why I keep fucking bringing that motherfucker up, but I do.
All right, I love Dan.
No, it's all right. I do too. He's watching right now. That's why I said that. You know what I mean? Is like, you both will be like, I don't like this band, so I'm not going to work with them.
Yeah,
what I mean?
It's,
like,
sometimes it's just like being simple and honest.
Yeah, like you listen to these bands. Hey, they have decent numbers. They definitely need to build, but they work hard, they put in the effort, and you know what? I like it. That's how I am at Pinup. Like, there's a lot of bands that hit me up with a lot of talent that I end up, like, passing off to the other people that work at the company with me, other managers. Sometimes I'll send people over, to the Mishko at 10 and 8, because I'm like, yo, Nick, like, this band is like way more your niche than mine. Like, I like it. I think it's good, but I don't know what the fuck to do here. Like, Rivals is a great example. Like, we're not working together anymore. And as much as I'm fucking pissed off about that and, like, bummed about it, it makes sense, because, like, for their career to, like, really, really, really significantly grow. Yeah. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone. I'm getting all these fucking coronavirus shutdown notifications. I don't know if you're getting them on the Apple News thing.
I'm getting a handful too. So
yeah,
I kind of look over every now and then.
And it's like it looks different when it pops up, when it's stuff like that. It's not just like a fucking text.
It's like emergency.
Like, oh, Jesus, yeah. But yeah, like, that band, it's good at the end of the day that maybe for this next album cycle and stuff like that they find a new manager, because they need someone that's more established in that world. And I don't think I did a bad job with Rivals at all. I don't think they feel that way either.
It's not, exactly. It's not about that at the end of the day. Sometimes it's sometimes, and people need to realize this too, sometimes you reach the ending of a relationship with someone in that business aspect. And it's better to end that on good terms than to try and force something to work when you guys are both unhappy.
Yeah, well, another thing is like, like, you've been friends with me for a while. Like, the whole reason Pinup exists as a management or as a promotion company is because I like give back. I care about my local scene. I want there to be music in the Bay. Well, all over California now, technically, but specifically the Bay. I want the scene to prosper of all the genres. Like, it's for a good reason. The last thing I want is for a band to come to me that I'm like, yo, I love your music, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then I try and ruin their career. That's the last thing I want to do, like, and that's where I'm at, dude. Like, that's just so, yeah.
Well, I think that's the importance though. If, like, when you go to learn all these different tools of the trade, you go to be a promoter, you go to, be a manager, you go to, try and run a label, you start seeing it from all these other aspects. So now you can understand, okay, where's this band at? What can I do for them? do I think I can actually push them further than they are? Like there's a lot of bands that'll come to me too and say, you know, hey, you know, do you think we're ready for this? And I'll say, no, I don't think I'm ready to pick you guys up. Not because you guys aren't putting in the effort, but because you guys aren't at the step where you need me, and this isn't going to be effective for anyone right now. It's just not. And that's the unfortunate thing is, you know, sometimes it's not enough yet for someone to be able to pick you up, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, they're not telling you no, they're telling you not right now. Yeah. And that's what people need to understand is not every single no is a, you know, screw your band, we hate you, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's just at this exact moment, I either don't have the time or maybe I just can't put in the time right now. Maybe I have other things I need to focus on. Maybe I have other bands in that genre I don't want to necessarily compete with already. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a lot of different factors that might factor into me saying no to you, but it might not necessarily even be anything about you. It might be something about my bands.
Yeah, like, and I don't know if I've said it on this show or on one of the other podcasts I've been on in the last like 6 months, but like I had Adrian on this show from After the Burial.
Yep.
And he showed me a couple podcasts. I want to say it was the Managemental one. I don't remember which podcast it was.
I like Managemental. It's a good podcast.
Yeah, but one of the episodes that he showed me, we were road tripping. It was last year where I went to go see the Ghost Inside reunion show. Yeah. We were road tripping down. And we were was it on the way to NAMM? I don't fucking know, dude. I'm old and I drink too much.
Down in Southern California.
We were road tripping somewhere, and so he put it on, and one of the things it said was like it was like Matt Pike. It was like a bigwig in the industry. Yeah. You know, I wish I remember what fucking episode it was. Maybe it was Biggie. I don't know. But the thing they said was like, honestly, like the hardest thing for a lot of managers to learn and for a band to hear is just sometimes it's the best thing you can do. The most responsible thing you can do is tell a band no, or that they're not ready or whatever, you know, like, like does it mean you're not in their corner? No, it just means like sometimes, you know, these bands, you're part of a band's team because they trust you, because like you hopefully grow to trust them and vice versa, but also like you're to steer their ship right. And sometimes it's like, no, that's a bad idea. Even if you want to do it, it's a bad idea. Yeah,
sometimes it's just, you know, you hear a band and you're like, this is awesome. But sometimes it's like, I have no idea what I could do with this that they're not already doing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think a lot of bands need to realize too, is sometimes it's like, it's just not the right person to work with you because maybe they're doing the exact same stuff you would be doing already. So at that point, why are you paying someone 10% or 15% or whatever you're paying them to do what you're already doing? And then no one's happy in that relationship, which is you didn't get back to square one of, you know, okay, now someone has to say no. Yeah. So I think that's important.
Yeah. So again, we started rambling. We fucking
sorry.
No, dude.
You
know what? Honestly, like I love this show, and a lot of the feedback I get is because it's so natural. Like they're natural conversations. It's not like we have this rigid structure of like talking points and like.
Yeah, I was like asking.
Oh, this show is presented by fucking This show's presented by PV some douchebag, and buy these headphones I'm wearing because they paid me $3,000. Fuck, I wish.
Dude, I wish I got a headphone. I know, right? my little Apple headphones from years ago.
I know. These are $50 headphones I use to play video games. You know what I mean? So it's whatever. So like besides, the working hard, well, you know, what's the number 2 thing you look for in a band?
Be creative. You know, it's like, it's not just because I see people, you know, follow.
I like that answer so much. I'm going to unbutton another button. Julian. That's I like that answer.
I just see so many bands doing, you know, it's like I see, okay, let's say, you know, okay, this is a really common trope is like maybe you'll see one band that's popping right now. Like let's say Varials. Varials releases a yellow shirt. 2 months later, all these local hardcore metal bands now, yellow shirts, same color.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get it. I get why people are doing that because it's like, okay, I see a lot of people wearing this color. It looks popular.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's not necessarily just the reason. You know, it's like sometimes you need to be like, okay, so they're doing this. And they found that people liked that after they did it, where no one else was really doing that yellow shirt. Yeah. So now you need to find what is your yellow shirt. You know, it's like what different item brings people into you. You know, it's like I've seen bands sell crazy stuff like knives and hatchets and stuff like that. And just like certain fan bases love that. And they found that their fan base loved it, so that's what they pushed.
I think the second thing I've seen in a while was Left Behind for the last album. It was like a fucking flannel with like a fucking like one-handed axe, dude. I was like, that is sick. And then like I Am made those hard to kill fucking knives, but they're not like cheap knives, they're like real knives.
Oh, Tanner had it in the office for super long too.
I know.
And then I think even Ice Nine Kills did like a hatchet recently or something like that. And it's like all these bands, like that's what their fans want, but it wasn't necessarily that someone else was selling that which made them want to sell it. It was okay. Yeah. What cool item can we make for people that they want? That's creative. That's different.
True.
And that's what people want.
No, you're right. You're right. And like the creativity, I mean, like let's reference. I go, me. I don't know if you've watched any of these. If you haven't, it's fine. I get really old school a lot of times with my references. You're from NorCal, bro.
Okay.
We all know the Merch Kings.
Oh yeah.
The all-time Merch King band, Animosity. That fucking gold hand grenade, the gold foil hand grenade. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, dude. It is.
Finding. And that's people's mistake too. Is part of creativity is also building a brand that is worth something.
Yeah.
Not every young band is going to have one, and I get that. But when I see a band that has their brand ready and they know what they want to be, they know what they want to appear as, it makes it a lot easier to push that because you see, okay.
Keep talking, Julian.
Yeah, it's like, you see this band is exactly what they say they are, and it's a lot easier to promote that than having to worry about stuff like, what is this band going to sound like? What is this band going to be like? Who is this band? But having a direct brand makes it so much easier to promote to an audience because you can actually reach out and say, hey, this is who we are. Every single thing you post should kind of have the same sort of, this is who we are. This all fits within our sort of brand or our idea or our team. This makes sense as a cohesive unit. And that's what's important. I know you just missed what I was saying, but basically,
I can summarize from how you ended that sentence.
Yeah, exactly. It's you want bands to be a one marketable piece, and merch has to go into that. All of your posts have to fit into that. Every single thing about your band has to seem like a unit. As soon as I start seeing all these things that are like different, it's a different vibe than what your band is posting already. Then I start kind of being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
That's why I think it's sometimes an issue for some of these bands. They'll hire these social media companies to run their social media and create content for them, and they won't really give them a direction. And then you'll start seeing what was kind of cohesive before. Now you start seeing changes a little bit, but it loses engagement too. Yeah. Because the more different it is, all of a sudden now it doesn't work with what you were promoting. Now people stop caring because it doesn't seem like it's the same band anymore. All that piece, it's all pieces of the same puzzle. Yeah. But being creative and finding a creative brand that works for your band and aligns with your values, aligns with whatever about your band is what you want to push forward. Yeah. That's important. So that's all kind of part of creativity too, because it's, being creative and finding what defines you guys as a band. Sometimes it's just, it's the album that you're promoting. Sometimes people change with each album and kind of have a different vibe, and that works too. But having something that's at least consistent to move forward with works.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite bands ever is Thrice. And you see that they change so much of, their sound every record. They try and do a lot of different stuff.
But their art and everything.
Consistently have an idea. And it always sounds like Thrice because it follows kind of along their idea of we're going to do what we want. And that can be a brand, and people don't realize that. We do what we want is a part of that brand. Yeah,
and like Between the Buried and Me is another great example of that. Yep. Like every album sounds a little different, little like the last, little like some more progression, but then at the same time, it's still all BT Bam.
Exactly.
Like there's some albums you like more than others, and vice versa.
Yeah, and everyone should have their own preference of stuff. It's like if you don't have a favorite record from a band, that's okay. But you probably know in your head that there's like a couple that you like a little bit more, a couple you like a little bit less. But at the same time, it's cohesive. Yeah, and that's what's important. Cohesiveness in your, whatever you're doing it all needs to be together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, we're coming up on an hour here. I try to chill around that mark. Yeah. So let me hit you with one more question.
Yeah.
What do you think the best thing? I mean, I'm pretty sure your answer is going to be creative, but what do you think the best thing bands can be doing right now during the pandemic is?
I mean, it's a combination of 1 and 2. Is creative effort. That's what you need to do. Is you need to be creating content that engages your audience, because I think so many bands go out on these tours and they, expect people to just love them live, but it's like you got to engage people before them to make them want to come out to the show. So right now is your chance to spend all of this time engaging your audience. And we have so many tools nowadays that we can be very specific with who we want. You can target fan bases with your advertisements. You can target age groups. You can target geographic locations.
Yeah.
If you're going on a tour, you're planning a tour, let's say, and it's going to be 6 months from now. You could even just spend $1 per city, just advertise and target at that city, specific ads. And then what you're doing is you're testing, okay, does this city kind of vibe with it? Does it not? But that's a creative effort you can do. It's like you can test, how your brand works among these cities and among your target audience.
Exactly.
Maybe change a little bit who your target audience is to figure out, okay, this is what works better here. This is what works better there. But put in the creative effort to engage that audience and find your audience. And once you have them found, it's that much easier to directly be like, okay, this is what we are. And then people start listening a lot quicker.
I agree. You actually said it better than I would have said it. So,
well, there's just a lot. There's a lot at the end of the day. There's so many ways to say it, but put in creative effort to what you do.
Yeah. Okay. I have a personal business question for you, and then we'll wrap up. All right. Is that cool?
Yeah. Is it a new band to pick up?
All right. So the personal question is, it's okay, baby. It's okay. Sorry, the puppy. The plumbing burst in the next apartment unit over. That's what the knock.
That's what the hissing is.
That the hissing and the loud pounding on the door was that. So
okay.
I hope the background noise isn't too bad.
I can hear it a little bit, but I don't think it's too bad.
Okay. Well, everybody listening to this episode, once you listen to it on podcast and on YouTube, sorry. I don't edit stuff. That's why it's called Joel Cupcake Unedited. So I don't know if you saw the video with EJ in it. Julian,
I haven't watched that one.
He uses his phone as a hotspot, and he does the interview in his backyard. So his phone just like overheats and he just like freezes in the middle of the video. And I'm like, so I remove his video from the feed and just like talk myself until he comes back. And I was like, this.
Very EJ move.
So yeah. So my question for you, picking your brain out of curiosity, is like, obviously I'm a little biased because we already did one and we're planning on doing more with these live shows. Like, how do you feel about that medium? The live, like, I think I've been talking to, Adam from Oceano and a few other people, and like, they seem to think that there is room in this Twitch or Facebook Live like medium for concerts. And I feel like the general public isn't accepting of it until they watch it. Once they watch it, they seem to be grasping it. How do you feel about all that?
I think it honestly depends on the band itself too. For some of these bands, a live stream can be great because some of these bands, either they have a lot of technical parts, which can be awesome to see live. Mm-hmm. It's like with Seeing the Sky, they play these beautiful progressive parts. They brought in the saxophonist. Awesome. Great live show. But there's some bands, it's like, and no offense to anyone that this kind of band is, some bands are kind of these, gloom and doom bands. It's like, maybe it doesn't work very well on a live stream because, maybe your entire thing about your band is like, let's say Worship, Worship is about being a loud band.
Yes.
On a live stream, that doesn't necessarily carry the same,
weight.
Depth. Yeah, it doesn't carry the same weight.
You're not going to get the same experience.
Exactly. But I think overall, for the majority of bands, live stream concerts are a genuine possibility and they can be awesome.
Yeah.
I think for some bands, they might have trouble translating their exact live persona into these live streams. But I think finding new ways to channel what your brand is into that can be effective. And I think it's like the more and more you experiment with it, maybe you want to try a couple times first as a band, like, okay, let's film our practice. Let's see how that looks. We'll play as if we were playing on a live stream. And if you watch it and you're bored, your fans are going to be bored way before you were. You know what I mean? Like, you know the songs, so you're paying attention. But like, if you kind of start feeling bored, then maybe you guys need to change something else about what you're doing. Maybe you need to live stream from a different angle. Maybe you need to have it focused on the drummer because your drummer is your awesome player who you love to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like your bass player. Maybe it's your guitar player. Maybe it's your singer. And, you never know sure which person this is. Or maybe it's just your band as a unit is so cohesive that it's awesome to watch together. But if I can't see someone, now it sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So finding out what works best with your band for a live stream setting, try it with videotaping yourself. Try it, do whatever you can to get at least an idea of, okay, this is what it's going to be like before you rush into it. Because I think that's just too much for some bands just to try and make that switch.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Trust me.
Yeah.
Word. Well, great answer. Yeah, I mean, I hope more promoters start trying to do the live show medium.
I've seen a handful.
I hope more studios figure it out. I'm not throwing shade at anybody. We are in the middle of a fucking pandemic. I understand that it's hard for you to make money, but if anybody watches this and they pull it off, just give fucking back. There are other people suffering. Don't charge for the bullshit. I'm so sick of it. Like, really short of it's either really, really small promoters that don't have a lot of reach, or it's big bands doing this. And the small promoters are doing it for free. The big bands are charging. And then there's, I don't think I'm a big promoter. I don't, or anything. The pinup page does have a lot of reach because we've been a company for so long. We have 12,000 on there. So even with the bullshit 1% algorithm, that's still 1,200 people that in theory will see it. So we're lucky in that regard. And I know I'm lucky in that regard. And it's I am not expecting to make a fucking cent off this because people are just so upset and hungry for music and hungry for some semblance of live music and normalcy.
Yeah. What I will say is some bands that they're charging, and some of that is going directly into the crew. That's awesome. I think that's a good way that you can sustain, members, or if it's going towards, maybe some of the employees that are out of work.
Okay, yes.
That makes sense to me. Great.
But be clear about that. Be transparent.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Not that there's so much vagueness in the music industry. You and I both know that.
Yeah.
Now is not the time for that. Now is the time for 100% just clear transparency.
Yeah. Just say, portion of proceeds. If it's not the whole thing, portion. That's okay. You can say just a portion is going to there, but don't try and say all of it's going if it's not, and that's okay. If it's getting split up, cool. No one's going to stress about that. Everyone understands that someone has to make a buck at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But do what you can to help whenever you can help. If it's especially something that's free, sharing on Facebook is free. Sharing on Instagram is free. Sharing on all your social media platforms. That's a free thing you can do to help someone. Yes. A like, a comment, all that stuff just increases engagement.
I agree.
And that's something you can do for free, no cost to you. It will help.
Yeah.
It will help.
Yep. Okay. Wrap question.
Yep.
What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Tight. That's the second time I've gotten that answer. What's your favorite place to eat on tour?
Illegal Pete's. I just love those burritos. And they're free.
You know what? I am so fucking surprised you're the first person to say that, dude. I love that place.
Dude, I back Illegal Pete's so hard.
Colorado. If you're a touring band, you can email them and they will feed you for free.
Arizona too now. They're in a lot of places now. They're expanding, but they take care of us every time we're there. They've been excellent. They are just hands down a great company. I mean, if you live in Colorado, just go buy their food anyway. Support them because they support the entire entertainment industry.
Sick. Okay. I'll save the other question I normally ask for when we actually do an episode about you. Okay. So ignore that. Julian, how can we find you, and how can we find your band, and how can we find Dynamic Talent on the World Wide Web? It will all be linked in the video at the end for those of you that you don't have to write this down. I still want Julian to shoot a shot,
Julian Grenz is my name. I don't have my last name right on here right now, but if you search me on Facebook, it usually pops up. Or Julian Loves Dogs. That's usually the other go-to. So one of those two will probably find me. Demon and Me is usually just Demon and Me CA, just because it's a California band. So, and then Dynamic Talent INT.
Mm-hmm.
So that's most of our handles on social media. So
awesome. Julian, my man, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening and watching. Check out these fucking bands. Email him, get some work going with him. He's a great fucking dude. Julian, I'll have you back in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Here, everybody, click that fucking subscribe button. Read through the links. Find Julian on the internet. Support his shit too. Thank you. This has been another episode of At Joel Cupcake Unedited. Bitch.